The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Petey. What rhymes with Petey? It's Petey.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into it, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day. We're part of that Locked On Podcast Network. They're doing the most for sports fans across the world. And for our show, again, we're not here without you listening. We're also not here without those sponsors. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Go visit FanDuel.com to get started. After every game, Rick Tocchet talks to the media, but last night there was a little extra sizzle to it. Get a little testy, let's call it, with Farhan Lalji of TSN for asking about Pettersson, and really for all the Canucks media for continuing to ask about Pettersson. So today we want to touch on, is the Canucks media justified to ask about Pettersson all the time? Is Rick Tocchet justified in his response? And despite the fact that the Canucks are winning games, again, we touched on it on last night's post-game show. Go check that out wherever you listen to pods. Are the Canucks, are Pettersson Tocchet to blame for some of the Canucks' lackluster performances of late? Let's get into all that. But before I do so, let me introduce my co-host, never bringing a lackluster effort, Kyle Bhawan. What's going on, brother?
Man, oh man, this is something, man. Well, not really. Let's be honest. I mean, it's just Rick Tocchet defending his teammate, and also just Rick Tocchet saying the obvious. I think he was for a moment there showing his frustration on his sleeve, right? Showing the people that he doesn't have to answer this question based on the fact that everyone's been watching the games, right? Everyone knows that in the last 4 games, yes, I'm dating this back to the Minnesota game last week, that 5-on-5, Pettersson has been not good. It's just the truth. And then he was asked about it again. He's like, yo, you guys can answer it. Yeah, he's producing, but you guys can answer the rest of the question, right? Involving Pettersson's overall play. Now, Trevor, I think you hit something on the head, and I hope the commenters hit something on the head too, because it's Canucks Questions. We're going to get through a lot of your comments today. You guys produce the show. Ask us questions, comment about the subject, and let's get the show started. But you did something there, okay? You said the Canucks' recent struggles, quote unquote, right? I think they're 1-2 in their last 4 games. You blame 2 people there, Tocchet and Pettersson. That's really interesting. So why don't you elaborate a bit?
Well, I think it's more of a question than anything else. And,
Nah, I heard it. You don't be scared of Rick Tocchet. Don't be scared of a headlock or I feel like he deserves a little bit of blame here because, Trevor, just say it, man. This team's not waking up to start games. That's squarely on the coach.
Yeah, I was starting positive and I was going to end it with Tocchet. I think last night on the post-game show, you were a little hard on the Pettersson DeBrusk Besser line, and I kind of went to bat for them a little bit. And, we got a comment here from Oliver Sholnick. If I'm pronouncing that right. Petey played great yesterday. Look, I don't want to say he played great, but he wasn't terrible. But it was a game where all the Canucks are kind of putting in lackluster efforts right now. So yeah, Petey is one of the star players, has to wear that, but he's still finding a way to get on the score sheet, pick up points, including being on the ice and helping contribute to the goal that tied the game there. And again, I think with the Stars, Brock Besser a bit more to blame for me. But to the point about Rick Tocchet, we're at a point now where this team, they're asleep at the wheel to start almost every game right now. They're one of the worst first period teams in the league after being one of the best first period teams in the league last season. Like you said, Kyle, that falls on the coach. Like, these players just aren't awake and ready to go. I don't know what it is. But Rick Tocchet's got to change something up because, or trying to do like a reward system with guys in some way, shape, or form in terms of ice time. Because right now nobody's going, and that's a problem for coaches. It's Andrew Burnett had this comment recently. This is the extreme where he made a comment about the Nashville Predators and said he could scratch everyone in this lineup. You're in a tough situation if everyone's not playing well. But on the Canucks right now, aside from maybe a guy like Kiefer Sherwood who's banging bodies, it just doesn't seem like anyone's really going to start games right now. And like you alluded to, Kyle, to me, that falls on Rick Tocchet. So maybe some of the Petey frustration last night, it's coming from a place of him being frustrated with his entire team. And he's taking it on the media.
Yeah. You know what? Let me touch on this Pettersson thing, okay? Canucks questions. I'm going to go back to that comment from Oliver, okay? Saying that Pettersson played great yesterday. Great? Great? I don't know about great, man. Again, 5-on-5, these guys didn't generate one shot on goal, that line. And again, like, I know Pettersson is quote-unquote putting up points, but for the fourth straight game, 5-on-5 with regularity, he's neutral. And that is not good enough. It literally isn't, bro. Like, you can't take 4 games off after having your first good streak of the season post that New York game a couple weeks ago, the first one that JT missed. Like, 4 games is too long to be invisible 5-on-5 for the majority of the game. You're getting paid $11.6 million. And Trevor, like, we got to talk about this, man. Look at what Quinn Hughes is doing. Look how much play driving he's doing. Look how much dictating he is doing. And Pettersson was warming up to do that. We saw him do a lot of good things, again, post Rangers game on that road trip. It was looking as if he was going to attack more, like Quinn Hughes. But here we go again. In the last 4 games, I feel like there's been a bit of a passiveness from him. And again, it's just not good enough, Trevor. Like, I'm done with watching him be like that for multiple games in a row, because yeah, it's only game 27, but the team doesn't have JT Miller. All in all, like, they in these games, in these moments, the fans who are paying tickets, paying a lot of money to come to these games, they don't need you to not do anything till there's like 5 minutes left in the period. I know we scored a power play goal yesterday. Voila, good for you. But it just seems as if we may be heading towards another slump for Pettersson. Like, that's what it kind of feels like based on his 5-on-5 play. And it's scary right now, just for me.
Yeah, it's fair to have that thought because he hasn't been as dominant as he was in most of November at 5-on-5. But I still don't think he's been bad overall, to be honest with you. And the problem is the Canucks right now is it fair to call them a one-line team? You know, they get DeBrusque, Pettersson, and Boeser at the top, but I know Garland's been doing his thing and he sets up a goal yesterday. But there's one line on the Canucks that scares you right now, and it's the DeBrusque, Pettersson, Boeser line. You shut that line down, and then all of a sudden, it's like the Canucks are not a very scary team, unless Quinn Hughes is on the ice just doing unreal things and setting up his teammates. But for me, I just think Elias Pettersson is pretty far down the list of problems for the Canucks right now. And there's some comments suggesting that, you know, when Petey returns, is he going to drop down to the second line, $12 million second line winger? Yeah, look, again, Petey's producing right now, and I know at even strength it hasn't been perfect. But, you know, I think there's 2 main problems with this team right now, okay? And let's get to this comment first from Andrew. It all stems from the pass out of the D zone. That's a huge part of it. This Canucks team struggles immensely to move the puck out of their own end. And unless Quinn Hughes, if Quinn Hughes does not have the puck, the rest of the defense are all struggling. And it is a massive glaring red hole in the Vancouver Canucks right now. But the other one to me is team speed. And it's interesting because the Canucks made an effort to get quicker in the offseason. They've traded one of those guys since in Daniel Sprong, which, you know, you could have some debate over. But guys like Heinen, Höglander is supposed to be fast. Pettersson is supposed to be fast. Like, the Canucks just don't look like a fast team right now. I know Pius Suter's not the quickest guy in the world. Garland's more shifty than speedy. Joshua's been looking kind of slow. The Canucks just, to me, look like a slow team offensively. I know the St. Louis Blues last night, they are not world beaters. In fact, they're probably a bottom 10 team in the league right now. They just looked miles quicker than the Canucks last night.
Columbus looked a lot quicker than us, too.
Yeah.
Dude, it's just the way it is, man. Like, the puck is not moving fast enough. We're not moving fast enough. And Tocchet overall just doesn't have the gears going with this team, especially early on games. Like, the prompt to allow this team to start working hard is, we're down by a goal with 5 minutes left. Let's go get this. We're down by 2. Let's go get this. And that is not good enough. Speaking of which, next question. This is more of a comment, but look at this. Okay, Kurt Richardson, one love to you, is saying that Pettersson is, also trying to carry the team as the only legit top 6 center on the team. JT coming back soon evens up the load. And then he also said this right here, right? Funny, everybody wanted Pettersson to produce. Now he's producing, right? Had 2 points yesterday. And it's something else. Always this way with the star player, never good enough. So, Trevor, do you want to slap me in the face? Am I being Am I being too harsh on Pettersson based on his 5-on-5 play over the last 4 games? I don't know. Like, you played Minnesota and Tampa Bay. Like, I want this guy to step up against good teams too, especially when JT's not in the lineup, especially when Quinn Hughes, this dude's back must be killing him. All the play driving he's doing. You're getting paid 11.6. You got to do some play driving too. It's just about the momentum of the game. It feels like we're sitting back most of the time. And I want Pettersson to help fill the void and allow us to attack more. Again, though, based on the facts, right? He's top 10 in the league when it comes to scoring over a period of time. I just saw, I think it might have been like over the last like 19 games or something. He has like 26 points or something. He's doing his thing, but all in all, like, am I being too harsh?
I think you might be being a bit harsh, but like you said, at even strength, it hasn't been perfect. But again, it's a Canucks problem in general. It's not just a Elias Pettersson problem. Like, we're pinpointing this guy because he's making $11.6 million, but to me, he's been one of the best Canuck forwards, even during a crappy homestand here. And I know a lot of his points haven't been at even strength, so that is a bit of an issue. But even last night, if you look at the underlying data, that line wasn't incredibly noisy in terms of their offensive efficiency, but they were the most efficient line in terms of puck possession last night. And they were going up against the Blues' best players, which isn't saying much, in like Robert Thomas and Colton Parayko, but again, they're still going against the toughest lines, and they control possession more than any other Canucks line last night. So,
but just not good enough, bro. I'm sorry. Just like, again, bro, like, there's got to be a higher standard for all 3 of those guys, especially Pettersson, coming off of disappointing performances against Columbus and Tampa Bay. Like, you're talking about a team that was sleeping through the first 2 periods of both those games, and especially offensively speaking, that is. And you kind of saw that again yesterday. It's just, bro, it's just not, like, that's not why you're here, man. And I don't know why I'm doing it. Comparison is a thief of joy. Maybe Rick Tocchet would love answering more questions about Quinn Hughes and how much dominance he's displaying all shift in and shift out. But I'm ready to have that conversation about, like, the whole Pettersson and Hughes thing. Like, what if Pettersson can play as good as Quinn Hughes? Like, shouldn't that be the expectation? Like, I don't sound like an idiot for saying that. Like, that's what we're ready for. And I think there's skepticism right now surrounding Pettersson only because of the last 4 games. It seems like the eye test he's not passing the eye test for me. He's picking up his points and whatnot. Like, let's not forget the point that he picked up against Columbus. It was on an empty net goal, P. Suter scored it. Okay. He was pretty quiet for that whole game. I think a lot of us are scared that he might be slumping soon. So, in order for us to get that off our mind, he needs to dominate. Like, against the Florida Panthers tomorrow, a team that's playing really good. I don't give an ish if that's a good team. He's playing against the toughest competition, and Colton Parayko and all. Dude, who cares? You're getting paid 11.6. Bring it. The team needs you.
The team is Elias Pettersson, and in terms of the Pettersson-Hughes comparison you're making, I think it's fair to suggest that they should be on the same level. Up until we saw what Hughes has done this season. I mean, both players have MVP potential. They're both 2 of the most talented players in the league. And I think that's the frustrating part about Pettersson. There's a high bar. He's making a lot of money, and you want to see him meet that bar, but he's not going to do it necessarily on an every night basis. And again, he carried this team through a lot of crap with JT Miller out of the lineup. He was one of the best players on the team with JT Miller gone, and so he should have been. So over the last 3 games, again, hasn't been the same P that we saw maybe on the road trip, but he's still been fine in my opinion. Again, there's a higher bar, but it's 3 games. Even McDavid has a slow stretch over 3 games sometimes. And if you look at the stats here, okay, the stats since November 1st, Elias Pettersson is 16th in league scoring with 22 points in 18 games. I mean, that is the kind of production you want from a star player. He's been one of the most productive players in the league since November 1st, since his slow start. So for me, it's not really the time to rip on Elias Pettersson. Okay. Again, let's see how it goes when JT Miller comes back, because he wasn't so good when JT Miller was back at the lineup the first time. But I like to think Petey's kind of passed his worst stretch of the season, and that there's better days ahead for Elias Pettersson. Okay. Kyle, I think we should let's cut to break here. And on the other side, I do want to touch on a couple other things, specifically Rick Tocchet and some of his coaching decisions. And we're seeing our commentators not be happy with some of the decisions that Rick Tocchet has made recently. So let's get into that. Let's also get into an update on Brock Boeser, because there's a report that just came out today about what he's seeking on the free agent market. You're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. We'll be back after shouting at our friends over at PrizePicks. Today's episode of Locked On Canucks is sponsored by PrizePicks. If you love sports, you're going to love PrizePicks, the best place to turn your sports knowledge into real cash money, baby. Whether it's hockey, football, or any of your favorite sports like jiu-jitsu or bowling, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in on the action. Here's what you need to get started today. You can win up to 200 times your money on PrizePicks. Wow. You can also get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. And guess what? There's no need to win. The $50 is guaranteed. This week on PrizePicks, I'm eyeing the board for your Vancouver Canucks. They got Florida, they got Boston coming up, 2 playoff teams. Yeah, the Canucks haven't been so hot against playoff teams, but I'm looking at Thatcher Demko to get his first win of the season. I'm looking for Elias Pettersson to stay hot and get on the score sheet, baby. Like he scored last night, but let's see him score a real goal, okay?
Yeah.
A real live goal that doesn't go off someone's stick. I'm also looking for Kiefer Sure to get back on the score sheet as well. Whatever picks you make, on PrizePicks, it's so simple to make picks and have fun with your friends. So download that PrizePick app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly, quicker than I can cream my what? PrizePicks, it's time to run your game.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs. One love to you and you and you and you. Again, this is Canucks Questions. We do this once in a while. You guys help us produce the show. Just spam the comments, and we'll let you lead the way here. Beggsy doing a lot of Pettersson defending, okay? I'm not hating on Pettersson. I'm just holding him to a higher standard, okay? We're going closer to 30 to 40 games. I just feel as if my standards are a little bit different. I'm not all about the padding the stats. It would just be like, for example, right? Here's an example, Trevor. Quentin Hughes yesterday, right? Didn't pick up a point, but you see the dominance. I expect seeing more of that from Mr. 11.6. It's just the truth. And go ahead and say, from November 1st, he's 16th in the league scoring. Well, isn't he like 7th or 8th or 5th when it comes to salary? Like, dude, some stretch of dominance barring any competition, 5-on-5 outside of the points is something I just want to see, I want to see. That being said, to put a positive spin on it, Trevor Beggs, touch on this just a bit. Rick Tocchet defending Pettersson in the media. That bodes well for Team Juju, in my opinion. It does. I loved it. I really did.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the Canucks media has a job to do, and I think Pettersson is always a big topic of conversation. We see it here in our comments as well, but I like that a little pizzazz from Rick Tocchet. I think he does a good job of breaking down the game in terms of strategy. I think that's a strong point of his when he talks to the media. I think that's what he likes to do. But yeah, when he's asked about the same players over and over again. I mean, look, it's a double-edged sword. Like when I'm in media scrums, I'm often asking about individual players, and sometimes you get some great answers, right? Like, I'm not there much, but one of my favorite answers was asking about Josh when he was a fourth liner. Rick Tocchet said he could score 20 goals. So you get good answers when you ask about individual players, right? And that's often what the fans want to hear. But I also get his fatigue with being asked about Pettersson every single game, because if you listen to the scrums, that's kind of the case as well. So I liked Rick Tocchet having Pettersson's back. And again, it was not in the city's question, right? It was just asking about how he stepped up in Miller's absence. So I did find it interesting that that's the time that he picked to kind of rip on the Canucks media for asking about Pettersson all the time. But
you know why he did that though? I think like, again, he defended Pettersson halfway through his little ramble, but I think a part of him wanted to critique openly. Like he was close because he wanted more. Again, this is the game against the St. Louis Blues where people are looking at this whole Brandstrom thing. I was like, oh, this is why we lost, because Rick Tocchet made a bad decision and put Friedman in for the Brandstrom. Okay, you're right on that, but it's not the reason why we lost. The reason why we lost is because 5-on-5, but Besser, Pettersson, and Besser had no shots on goal. I dig deep into that. That being said, people are fired up, and I want to get into this. Okay, Trevor? This comes from, I had it right here. Vancouver is my life. He's saying we got to fire Rick Tocchet, man. Can you find that comment for me? It's somewhere. Oh, right there. Vancouver is my life. Trevor Beggs, what do you got to say about this? Okay, fire Tocchet, please. His offense is trash. He's making stupid lineup decisions. Why Susie on the penalty kill? Why is Brandstrom scratched? But emphasis on his offense is trash. Again, I don't know if you have the fancy stats in front of you over the last 11 months of hockey for the Vancouver Canucks, but I'm pretty sure we're bottom 5 on shots on goal. That's probably the truth. It feels like that. I wonder what we are when it comes to high danger chances over the last 11 months. And people, I just want to emphasize, I'm a Rick Tocchet fan. He's a culture builder. In fact, I feel like we need him to do a lot more coaching for us to take the next step. Okay, I truly do believe that. All that being said, you mentioned the team speed and whatnot, and how this team isn't the fastest yet. Time in and time out, I feel as if they're being instructed to dump the puck in. Seems counterintuitive. All in all, though, what do you have to say about this comment and some of the ridicule coming Tochet's way these days?
I mean, what they tried to do heading into the season hasn't worked, right? And I think part of that was Petey struggling, Miller being injured, not looking himself. But they try to change up their game to be a bit more direct and creative offensively, and it just hasn't worked. And I think they've kind of steered away from it with Pettersson's struggles with Miller being out of the lineup. But they're preaching this new style of play heading into the offseason, and lo and behold, they still suck at getting the puck on net, especially at home ice for some reason, which is kind of baffling, to be honest with you. But Kyle, since February 1st of last season, the Canucks are 25th overall in the NHL in terms of shots on goal, averaging 27.7 shots per game. You look at the teams below them; they're pretty much all bottom feeders, except for, I guess you want to call it, the Washington Capitals, who are pretty damn good this season. But yeah, I mean, the Vancouver Canucks overall, this has been a sore spot for them. They're struggling to get good chances, and to me, like I said about 10 minutes ago, it's a mix of the D not being able to break the puck out, but the team also just looking slow in the offensive zone. They're kind of ringing it around to each other, and they're not getting pucks on net. Like Quinn Hughes seems to be one of the only guys who actually just finds an open lane and gets a puck on net. Like, is it that hard to do? Like, why do you need a Hart Trophy candidate to do that? It shouldn't be that hard in the NHL. I know it's a tough league, but this offense is just lacking mojo right now. And I know I talked a lot about Pettersson losing his mojo and finding it again, but overall, the offense of this team right now, again, they got some good personnel, some depth, but this really looks like a team that needs JT Miller back and firing on all cylinders.
And look at this comment from Tyrone, okay? And this alludes to what Trevor was just touching on. And Tyrone's going hard in the comments, okay? He's not liking Kyle Bhawan right now, okay? But this guy's Pettersson's best friend right now. And I like to think I'm Pettersson's best friend sometimes, okay? For real. That dude's a gamer. I know he is, but I just want more. That being said, Tyrone right now is saying, I think it also goes along with the players wanting the perfect play. Tocchet has to mention they need to shoot the puck more instead of looking for the perfect scenario. And I mean, like, that's a little bit ironic because there's a lot of truth in that, right? You hear Tocchet after games preaching that he wishes this team would shoot more. And this group of players for a long time now, it feels like 11 months. And maybe you can even stretch this back to like last October, since we were like the PDO champs, right? Like, they just don't have that collective that desires the chaos. Like, just put it on net, see what happens. I like to believe like sometimes those plays are the best plays because it generates more offensive zone faceoffs too, right? Like, it's the little things, little details that surely add up. But I'm not trying to create controversy here, but why don't you think they're listening? Is it because they don't have the repertoire, like personnel wise, or what's going on? Especially if you drop back for the whole Quinn Hughes point that you just made, right? Like, he's at the top of the pecking order when it comes to the players on the team, and he likes to shoot everything. So why isn't everyone else like that?
I don't have a great answer for you. I think one theory I do have is that in terms of Tocchet and his coaching styles, this is the way Rick Tocchet has always coached. And it was masked through a lot of last season because they were just so incredibly efficient offensively. But if you look to Rick Tocchet back in his days in Arizona, I know Tampa was a long time ago, but specifically the days in Arizona, that was a very low event hockey team, a team that didn't get a lot of shots on net, a team that defended well, had a high floor because of the way they defended, but that did not generate a lot offensively. And you kind of thought things had changed in Vancouver because, Rick Tocchet finally has some star players to coach. But now that we've had a larger sample size, it's really looking like it's still the same Rick Tocchet brand of hockey with the team that doesn't shoot that much. And again, for everything that they preach heading into the season, it's just kind of evaporated after a few games into the season here. And they're back to that same team that, just plays it safe and just doesn't really try to get to a lot of quantity on net. They're either going for the crazy, highlight real chances, or they're just ringing around the boards to each other. Like, it's just fire the puck on net and crash the net. Like, I don't know why a Rick Tocchet team struggles to do that, but they've struggled to do that.
Yo, you just described Canucks hockey in the offensive zone. Get it at the point, try to put it on net. If it's not at the point, ring it around the boards. That's what it is. There's not a lot of like 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I'm saying those numbers out loud, I'm talking about like tape to tape passes in a row. Like, there's not a lot of creativity. And, you can put some blame on Rick Tocchet for that, right? But again, Trevor, you might RKO me through the screen, but I personally want to just see more of that from Pettersson alone. I know, again, 15 points in his last 10 games or whatever. I know the comments are going off on me. Oh, that's not good enough, Kyle. I feel bad for your girlfriend if that's not good enough. Dude, I'm just saying it's fair to want more. And it is about the points at the end of the day, right? Because that reflects on the scoreboard and that's where you win the game. But when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks not being an attacking team and being passive and waiting till the third period to wake up, you best believe that if Pettersson is attacking the whole way through, even if he's not scoring goals, he's setting the tone. He's setting the confidence for his team. He's setting the pace for his team. And I think that's what's missing. Like, this team needs more of their dynamic players to just not be passive. Like, we can't just have Quinn Hughes being the only guy that thinks he's the shit and is going to make things happen on his own accord. Like, we need Mr. 11.6 to play like that from puck drop till the end of the game. And I think that's fair. I'm not hating on him. I don't think Pettersson's trash. I'm proud that he was able to, just find his confidence to an extent and help this team win games in Miller's absence. But it's been quite apparent that in the last 4 games, I'm seeing a lack of attack, and maybe I'm just a little scared that it's a sign of things to come. And at the same time, I'm like, dude, you're Pettersson. Like, take the bull by the horns and go through players. You know what I'm saying? Like, back defenders up, create space, do all these things individually speaking. Okay. Yeah. Pick up your points and whatnot. And that stuff happens. But this guy also has 3 goals, 5-on-5 in his last 27 games. Like, dude, be an attacker, be the alien more often than not. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I think it is fair to say, and it's funny. It's I guess this was titled "Rick Tocchet is done with Petey," so it has been a Petey heavy episode. But Kyle, let's cut to break. Maybe we'll get a couple more comments about Pettersson on the other side. I do want to touch on Eric Brancham and Brock Besser as we wrap up here on Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every damn day. We'll be back after shouting out our friends over at FanDuel. All right. Christmas is around the corner, and life's expensive nowadays. Inflation has gone up. Okay. What is it, like $30 for a loaf of bread? Anyways, you maybe need a few extra bucks to fill the Christmas stocking. And hey, how about making a few extra bucks on FanDuel? Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Whether you're betting on the NHL, the NFL, the FanDuel Sportsbook app, they have it all, okay? On that app, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. All right? Kyle, I'm not even sure who the Packers playing this weekend, buddy.
What do you mean, dude? Come on, bro.
Oh, of course. It's that weekend. Let's go.
I'm gonna get so drunk on Sunday. It's not even funny. I've already planned my route. I'm walking over to my friend's house who's driving us to Seattle. Yes, I'm walking to my homie's house. It's about a 25-minute walk. I'm gonna have 2 beers in hand, and I'm gonna shotgun both those beers before 9 a.m. I don't get drunk a lot, but I definitely get drunk when I go into enemy territory. Why? Because I hate the Seattle Seahawks and the boys in green and yellow and gold. They deserve my support.
Well, if you're into the Seahawks-Packers game in terms of from a betting perspective, Kyle's blowing the big bucks to go see the game, so you know that the Seahawks are going to pull it off at home, buddy. Whatever you're betting on, make sure you go do so on FanDuel. Again, new customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet on FanDuel.com.
One love to the Green Bay Packers. One love to you and you.
Seattle Seahawks.
Hey. People. We back doing this, and that's just having a friendly old conversation about the Vancouver Canucks. Okay, a lot of Pettersson talk, ironically, not too much criticizing of Rick Tocchet. Some of the people in the comments want us to do that. Let's do it then. Let's do it. Brandstrom, healthy scratch yesterday. Boom, bam. Okay? Trevor, 24 hours after that decision is made, how do you feel about it? And then after, please give me a grade on Rick Tocchet's second full season as a Canucks coach, okay? Ooh. Straight up. Do both of that.
The decision to scratch Brandstrom was, I don't think it was a huge WTF, but it was a little surprising, right? He's obviously been way better than Vincent Desharnais, as is pretty much every Canuck, which is saying something because it's been, again, a bit of a mid start to the year for the Vancouver Canucks. So I found it surprising, to be honest. I think it was nice to get Mark Friedman back in the lineup. I thought Mark Friedman, for the most part, looked fine last night. And I actually said on the post-game show last night, it looked like he moved the puck better than everyone on the Canucks defense aside from Quinn Hughes. That was, again, tough game for Susie, tough game for Jules, and tough game for Myers. Tough game for Vinny D as well. So, yeah, I would have liked to see Brandstrom, who practiced on the right side with Derek Forbort, get into the lineup. But that being said, I think he tailed off a bit over the last few games. So it wasn't the end of the world to me, but he certainly deserved to be in the lineup over a guy like Vinny D. And again, this team they struggle so bad to move the puck out of their own end. It's just like, now after getting like last night, I'm wondering if you can afford to scratch a guy like Brandstrom.
No, you can't. Again, sorry to cut you off. I know you're about to grade Rick Tocchet, but I think I'm disappointed in Rick Tocchet in that decision, because a part of me feels as if he let his ego get in the way with that one.
Yeah,
straight up, this organizational philosophy that he wants to instill in this team, being one that is equipped with trees in the back end. At bare minimum, you need at least 2 or 3 trees playing every game, right? Got in the way of him making the obvious choice, and that's never. And I mean never. And this is saying a lot considering the names I'm about to bring up, but it's like never in a million years does this team move forward with putting Brandstrom over Vincent Desharnais. Case in point, straight up, these old hockey heads got to get out of their way sometimes. And again, I'm blaming Tocchet for this one. Look what happened to the Oilers. Straight up, they lost Broberg. You can talk about it for money reasons, right? But maybe they just didn't have enough, didn't give Broberg enough looks for them to have the full belief in him, right? Even though he played a lot of games in the Stanley Cup Finals, look what they did. They chose Vincent Desharnais, this 6 foot. How tall is this guy? 6'9", 346 pounds. Like this ideal 1980s defenseman who could skate. They chose this guy over Broberg in the regular season. They didn't get a good enough look at him. And what did they do? They didn't match St. Louis's offer, which, to be honest, is a huge mistake. Huge mistake on the Oilers' part. We're blessed. We're blessed for Vincent Desharnais, actually, if you do the math, okay? For real. Thank you very much, Vincent Desharnais. All in all, though, the NHL and these old heads, they got to get over it. If you're telling me that Vincent Desharnais is better than Brandstrom based on the eye test, it's one of those things. What's that saying? You can't teach an old tiger new tricks, or you can't teach an old lion how to change his stripes, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you got one of those random quotes. Rick Tocchet can't get over himself. He can't, and he needs to. He definitely needs to. There's no world based on the eye test where you don't healthy scratch Vincent Desharnais. It's so weird. But again, it's his ego getting in the way. Like, he wants Desharnais to work so bad because he definitely went. Remember, Rick Tocchet's the one that called Vincent Desharnais, hey, come over here. He wants this to work out so bad, but he needs to take the L here. He does.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there, Kyle. And in terms of Rick Tocchet's performance this season, I think I'd probably give it a C+. I haven't liked a lot of the coaching decisions, to be honest. I felt like early in the year he was very almost like too trigger happy with changing up his lines. Doesn't seem to be able to find the right chemistry right now. And again, for me, it's, this team plays defense fine with the personnel that they have. The personnel is more the issue than the system. But offensively, it's like what he's trying to do offensively just isn't working. And I mean, the Canucks, again, have been lucky. And I think, Chris D'Alessandro points it out in the comments here, but the Canucks have a 12.2 shooting percentage so far. That's 4th best in the league. But they are 29th in the league on shots on goal this season. That's a crazy number. And that falls on Rick Tocchet, all right? The boys aren't ready to go at the beginning of the game. They don't shoot the puck enough. And they rely on this hero puck play from behind hockey. I mean, they're 9-5-1 in games where they give the first goal, which is great. But it's almost like they need to face some kind of adversity before they get their ass in gear.
That's all those stats are crazy, okay? 4th in shooting percentage, 29th on shots on goal. And the Canucks are 9-5-1 when they allowed the first goal of the game. Something's got to change. And Rick Tocchet, this whole again, you can kind of see it. This is my worry about Rick Tocchet sometimes. It's like he seems to be all over the place sometimes. I hope his delivery to the players is not like that, right? And now I'm connecting some bad dots, and you can shut me up if you want, but it's like, okay, let's play more offense. And now it's like, maybe I did too much of that. He said that 7 or 8 games to the season, maybe I was too heavy on that, right? But at the same time, it's like, let's play more offense this year. And then in game 27, when you're on home ice, you're just coming off 2 straight games where I feel as if the Canucks drew like, did they even get 20 shots against Columbus? I don't even know. It probably took them like 55 minutes to get to the 20 shot mark. They did the exact same thing against Tampa Bay. And it's like, this team needs to move the puck more. And you're subbing out Brandstrom for Friedman and Darren. Like, what's going on? What's going on? It actually makes no sense. And I feel bad for a guy like Quinn Hughes, man. And people in the comments right now are asking like, oh, why was Susie playing in overtime? Well, who else are you going to play?
Yeah, that was my first thought as well.
Yeah.
Like, Juleson, is a Myers. I mean, I trust those guys less than a Susie, to be honest with you. But again, there's just really slim pickings right now on the Canucks defense in terms of who you put out there in overtime. But two things I want to touch on quickly before we get out of here, Kyle. One was a quick update on Brock Besser. I don't think this is earth-shattering news, but Nick Kypreos today reporting that Brock Besser is seeking a deal north of $8 million in free agency, and I think that is a surprise to no one. Brock Besser's speed seems to have been a bit of an issue recently. I'll ask you this simply, Kyle. Like, are you comfortable paying Brock Besser $8 million plus a season?
Not right now.
Yeah,
it's just the truth. It's just the way.
I mean, the guy had 40 goals last season. He's been a good player for this team for this long time. I do think in the locker room he's a really key part of this core of this team. But yeah, he's struggling right now.
Yeah, he's struggling, dude. And honestly, man, I was thinking more about this today. Like, dude, are they going to trade Brock?
Find out on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Canucks. There we go. The only other point I want to make quickly, again, a lot of heat about Pettersson here so far this season. And again, he is the 5th highest paid player in the NHL.
Wow.
In terms of the average annual cap hit. He's basically a point a game right now, right? He's got 26 points in 27 games. I'm looking at some of the other guys around the same thing. I mean, Austin Matthews missed time, but he has 19 points in 19 games. He's making almost $2 million this season more than Pettersson, and William Nylander, who's making $100,000 less than Pettersson, has 28 points in 28 games. Very similar production. So I know we're watching the Canucks closer, so it's easier to criticize, but just looking at the raw numbers, I mean, Pettersson's producing just as much as Nylander and Matthews.
No, and you know what, Trevor? Again, this is why we have these conversations. We can vent, we can be therapeutic, we can get nicer. And there was a play yesterday where we did see a little bit of vintage Pettersson. Okay, again, it wasn't 5-on-5; it was on the power play, but from a tough angle, he rang it off the crossbar on a one-timer. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So little things, man. It's the details. And I know today's episode was really, really emotional. I really do appreciate all the comments that helped us get through the episode. But it's, with Miller coming back, I know Hronik's missing, but I feel like I'm past the excuses part of this Canucks season so far. And for me, again, it's more so about the effort and looking good on the ice for 60 minutes than the wins and the points, albeit, we do kind of need that too, considering the cushion that we had is deflated. All that being said, again, moving forward, I just want a more consistent hockey team, for real. It's time, bro. It's been too long of this. I brought it up yesterday. I feel as if the Canucks are playing the exact same way they played in April against Nashville. Get good goaltending, be in games, thug it out to the end, and squeak it out, Let's stop doing that. You know how they got to play? Look at how they played in Game 3 against Edmonton. Watch those highlights, okay? In the first period, first 2 periods. That's how they got to play. All in all, though, Kyle Bound, Trevor Beggs. Hit the like button. It does help us out a lot. It's Christmas. One love to the Burnaby Gardens. One love to Five God. He let me use his laptop today for like an extra 20 minutes because my laptop is dead. That guy is... I owe that guy some matcha, okay? So again, one love to Five God. Search him up on Spotify. Search up Lou St. Rose as well. I'm telling you, we doing things out here, okay? Again, hit the like button, join the Discord. Beggsy, sign us out.
All right, shout out to everyone listening, whether you're an everydayer, an occasional listener, a first-time listener, a new subscriber, or you join us on the live show on YouTube. We appreciate the hell out of you for tuning into Locked On Canucks whenever and wherever you're tuning in. Again, if you like what we're doing, like Kyle said, subscribe and like on YouTube. On the podcast side, go follow us and leave a 5-star review. And Kyle, I think for tomorrow's episode, let's talk about it. Should the Canucks trade Brock Besser? What? Find out if we're going to talk about that. I think it's a good topic. Again, stay tuned for everything we're doing here on Locked On Canucks. We're here every damn day, baby. But for now, we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bound. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.